Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. It's Chris here with another video. Not about this screwdriver. I just wanted to put something down on the mat here when I started. We'll move it out of the way. What did want to spend a little bit of time talking about was this system here. Oh, and this system here. Yes, indeed. Today we have a pair of IBM ThinkPad. You know it's an IBM ThinkPad because you can see the old style logo there. IBM ThinkPad Model T40 machines. So this is, going back to the bygone eras of the ThinkPad when IBM still owned their own PC division and was creating these systems. And this is right up near the end of that time period. Right before they sold to Lenovo in, I think it was 2004 or 2005, and Lenovo took over the PC business. And yeah, so a different time in terms of design and engineering. Of course, the purpose and the manufacturing and the design of laptops then versus now has changed. The industry has changed, the customer experience, the user experience has changed. So, a laptop like this might not even fly in today's standards. A heavy duty, ultra laptop. This is heavier than almost any laptop that's out on the market today, even in a workstation class. So, but it is what it is. So we'll take a look at these two machines in a little more detail. One of them is in much better condition than the other. Actually, I received these both from the same person. They had these old laptops. They needed to get some files off of them, so I did get the files off and sent them to them. And then worked on cleaning them up. This one had stickers on it and stuff, and a bunch of cracked case pieces. I did full re-imaging of the systems. What was kind of cool on these is we actually have the original IBM image on this, so I didn't have to do a Windows XP install and then find all the drivers and everything else. So we'll see. This looks kind of cool on these machines. So let's take a look at the one that's in better condition here. So front end of the system, these stickers here that cover up the screws are a little loose. I did try putting some new adhesive on them, but it doesn't seem to be working all that well. So we've got our front latch here to open up the system, which is something that we used to have on the ThinkPads that we don't anymore. That allows you to be able to snap closed and stay closed, not open up accidentally. Infrared port for that communication. We look down on the bottom here, we've got our battery connection, mechanical docking, and then the pocket here to be able to do your memory install. One of the memory DIMMs is accessible on this side. The other one you have to remove the keyboard to be able to get access to. Side panel here, we've got our Ultra Bay. One of the versions of the Ultra Bay. I've got the security screw installed in here, so you can't pull it out. And then you've got this DVD-ROM combo drive and then a VGA port. On the opposite side, we have our door here that exposes two PCMCIA card slots, our ventilation for our processor and discrete GPU cooling, audio ports, Ethernet and modem, an S-Video output, and then a pair of USB ports. And then when we look at the rear, very simple, just a old style parallel port, and then our IBM barrel power plug on this system. Opening up the unit here, you've got the old style 7-row keyboard here. Again, one of the things I'd forgotten about these old systems was the lack of a Windows key on this keyboard. I can't believe I forgot, I guess not seeing these for a number of years, that despite the larger physical size of the keyboard, the original, older style keys here, it didn't have a Windows key over here. It was kind of interesting. Anyway, so there's the, your full keyboard, the old Axis IBM control buttons, and this thing as well. And then, as we were getting later on in the series, we did start to see these being getting added on. So not only having the mouse buttons to go along with our track point, but a touchpad with their own dedicated touchpad buttons. This was something that was, kind of becoming new, getting added into the ThinkPad portfolio at this time. And then our screen here, we've got this Active Matrix TFT screen available to use as well. So this system is the one that's in better shape. It's pretty minimal wear and tear. The second unit here has some other stuff that's going on. It's worn out a little bit more. The keyboard you can see here has got a lot more wear down on it. The screen has some bezel damage here. What else? The door is missing off the PCMCA card slot. This USB port was physically damaged. So I put a little bit of tape over top of it on the inside of it when I opened it up to clean it, so that you wouldn't accidentally plug stuff in. And then the worst offender on this one is actually that the backlight on the LCD is dying/dead. So you have to plug it into an external monitor to be able to see what's going on the ThinkPad right now. It's not a very difficult thing to fix, but I don't have the spare parts on hand to replace that component. So unfortunately, that's something that's not going to get fixed on that one, but again, it's still fully operational on the system. So we're going to boot up here and take a look at the installation that we have on file. All right, so hit the power button. And again, it's pretty cool. So one of these two systems actually had the service partition still on the hard drive. And I was able to re-image the system as a result. And then I tried to clone, what I did try to do is I tried to do a clone of the entire disk over to the other drive, which didn't have that service partition on it. And I was able to move over the OS image, but it wouldn't do the service partition image properly. I tried it multiple times. I tried to do a DD, all those, using Linux tools to make it work, and it just didn't want to transfer over the information in the service partition. Just part of the way that IBM set these things up back in that time, they made it, very difficult for you to be able to replicate it and clone it without using, their dedicated tools to make that happen. So they do have the full image, each of them. This is the one that has the recovery partition still available on it. So we'll log in now. And if you listen very carefully, you'll hear some unique Windows login sounds, because part of being on this this IBM image was a custom theme that was actually included with it. And this is something that I actually don't think I either completely forgot, or I don't think I ever saw in a ThinkPad during that time. This custom theme that was made available. So what we're looking at here, the system's going to take a while to load. Obviously, an older IDE hard disk drive is going to have some churn attached to it, and I do have quite a few apps that are running from the IBM install, as well as having Avast installed on here to provide some form of antivirus service for Windows XP. So you see this custom theme here, the Axis IBM PC registration icons here, a custom recycle bin icon down here, and then this background is actually an active desktop background. So the hard disk drive icons here, it's showing the availability in these little dots, and as they fill up the hard disk drive, it goes darker. The battery life showing in these pluses, and as you unplug the battery and the battery starts to drain, it'll dip down. Like I'll unplug the battery. It doesn't have that much power left on it in terms of cycle, so we'll see this drop down. If you've got an email program configured, it'll provide your email connectivity. Then we'll do here for if you had network or wireless connectivity, we're going to plug in the Ethernet here, and you'll see this pop up on the desktop. So you see there, you got the ones and zeros there, which is identifying that you've actually connected via the Ethernet connection. And then if your Wi-Fi connection was up, it would show some information there. And you can already see the hard drive or the battery here as it started to drain. You see one of these pluses has gone hollow, so to speak. So really cool. I don't remember seeing this. And then when you go to the screensaver, it has it cycles through each of these sections on the screensaver to kind of give like status updates on what's happening within the computer, which I think is really impressive. Let's open up hardware info here, and we'll take another look here at the specs. Did I click on that right? Come on, there we go. Okay, hardware info. Give me some info on the hardware. You can see here on the other places section here, my computer, my network places, my documents, they have these custom icons as well. And they show up here on the start menu. I think it's really cool, the fact that IBM went to the trouble of making something like that going on. Now, it may have just been, this may have been simply for the fact that because Windows XP was the first operating system that was officially combining business and consumer. So, any of that type of customization that would have been more towards what they were doing with like the Aptiva or NetVista product lines leading up to this time period, where they did stuff like this, and it really wasn't that big a deal on the ThinkPad side. They added this in because it was, something that would be appealing to the consumer side of the business. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the battery here just because I can't remember if it's like 5 minutes or 15 minutes that it can handle. But I don't want it to suddenly run out and get scary while we're in the middle of talking here. So here's some information we got on the system, as I mentioned, coming down here. So this is a Banias something, Intel Pentium M705 processor. So this is a 1.5 gigahertz, single core, single threaded, obviously, processor. We've got 768 megabytes of RAM in here, one 512 and one 256 megabyte stick, which is a perfectly reasonable amount of memory to run a Windows XP business class operating environment. And then what's kind of cool on this one is, even though this wasn't like a professional workstation, this was a professional business machine. So we've got this ATI Mobility discrete graphics card here with 32 megabytes of RAM, which isn't, again, a ton of RAM, but is a 4x AGP video card that is on board, has its own dedicated memory for providing some business level plus graphics. So pretty cool all in all that we've got this pretty powerful machine in what would be a relatively small package. Drive-wise, we've got the IDE hard drive, which is a 40 gig Travel Star, and then we've got the DVD-CD rewriter combo in the Ultra Bay. In the operating system, I have run Windows Update to get this up to Windows Service Pack 3. So it is, the kind of the latest and greatest in terms of what's going to be running on here. And then we did install Avast and Firefox, a Firefox ESR that would still be compatible to run on this system. So, while I, have said many times, Windows XP is not a safe operating system to run with. It hasn't been receiving updates for quite some time from Microsoft. So it is very much a use at your own risk operating system. But I'm, sometimes a fan with these older machines of running, running a, era specific or bringing it back to the way it was when it was originally factory installed, but still being able to use it to see how it operates in a modern world. But this is definitely a system that if you were going to use this, you don't want to put any of your own personal information on this system, because it could be, it could be compromised at any time. And what you need to be prepared and ready to do is, power cycle the machine immediately, hit that recovery partition, and restore the system back to factory to get rid of whatever crap has been installed on the OS partition. So that is definitely something that you want to be prepared to do with any system that is not running on a current protected or supported OS. Even if it's something that you're not going to be connecting to the internet. If you've got an old Windows 9X or DOS-based machine, if you're loading any applications that you're picking up from anywhere, right? Even if you're going and grabbing old, you got an old system and you're making an old emulation machine or something, you download a ROM from the internet off the wrong website, it's going to have malware on it or something. And even if it can't connect to the internet, it can still screw your OS up. So you have to be prepared to wipe that out and reload it, at any point in time. I just wanted to give the, show off here the performance of this system. You're not going to, I hope, not going to expect very much because you're not going to be getting a ton of performance out of this. But we'll just take a look at the YouTube here, and you can definitely see how slow everything is, right? The hard disk drive is literally turning non-stop, just trying to handle all the information that it's trying to process. So I'm going to bring up this latest video from Epic on the Unreal Engine version 5. I muted it just to help try and avoid some of the issues with copyright claiming, and it's not like it's an issue. I don't have monetization or anything enabled on the site, on the channel, obviously, but just to avoid having to deal with getting those silly notifications that someone doesn't like 3 seconds of their own content being shown in someone else's video. But just to show off here, so graphics wise, this is at 144p. It's not too bad in terms of its playback. We're going to switch up here to 240p. And you will immediately see it starts to really hitch. So, from a playback perspective, this thing is really not going to be handling, streaming video well at all. Now, that being said, if you've got DVDs, if you're a collector of an old ThinkPad, chances are you may also be a collector of old DVDs. It is humanly possible for this to occur. You could watch a DVD movie on this, no problem. It's got an okay screen. It is a TFT screen, active matrix. It's a 1024 by 768 panel. There is a larger resolution panel available for this, for the T40, that goes up to 1050. So obviously there's a better resolution available for this, but this is decent. I mean, and if you were looking for something that gives you that retro appeal, certainly can handle things. As well as the S-Video and VGA outputs would allow you to go up to a larger screen or a television to be able to output this information as well. So certainly something that's got some value and life left into it. Again, as I've mentioned many times before, an older system like this that I can't retrofit to be able to operate a modern operating system like Windows 10 effectively or at all. This processor just can't run Windows 10. It doesn't mean that it has to have its life ended. It just means that it's not something I can go and donate to charity. I need to find a home for it that's going to be able to make use of it. And also, when you get to systems that are older like these, especially, I've got nostalgia for the ThinkPad brand overall. Finding like-minded people who are interested in making this as like a vintage collector's item is definitely something that I want to take advantage of. So, that's probably where this system is going to end up finding a home with a collector somewhere. And as well, the second unit we will also put out there. Obviously, it's got its maybe it's going to be for parts or something because it's got its needs, or someone who maybe is a collector and they've got they've got another one of these things that's maybe got a bad board but has a good backlight. They can make a Frankenstein and make a working machine out of it. So hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below your memories of this these final years of the ThinkPad product line when it was run by IBM, on what you what you remembered, what you liked, what you didn't like, and maybe your feelings on how you think these things hold up today. With regards to what a modern laptop is capable of doing from a user experience. I know personally, while I really love the build quality of this system, you miss the 4:3 aspect ratio of the screens. There's a couple things that I'm really look at and I'm like, well, not having that Windows key was like, why didn't we have that? For the longest time, the Windows key was usable as far back as Windows 95. That's almost 10 years of development where you could have put that into the keyboard. And then the weight on this is the one thing that I completely forgotten about. My P71, which is a 17-inch workstation class laptop from Lenovo, weighs almost the same as this. And this is about half the size, if not less than half the size overall volume dimensions. So very heavy design. Now that could be a good thing, right? Because of the rigidity of the framing. But a modern Ultrabook or performance grade executive laptop can have the same level of functionality as they've improved the alloys and materials they can use to create a rigid design without having to have quite as much physical weight to it. Anyways, so let me know what you think. I really enjoyed having this thing on the desk and working with both of these units over the last couple of months in preparation for making this video. And I hope you enjoyed spending a little bit of time seeing this, especially this cool Windows XP IBM ThinkPad theme. This is awesome. I can't believe I didn't even know this was around. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. So thanks again for hanging out. I hope you are staying safe and staying healthy wherever you are in the world. And we will catch you in the next one.